last season, Gonzaga, so close, 34-0. Amazing half-court shot from Jalen Suggs to win, to get to the national championship game, but a loss against Baylor. So close, yet so far. Is this the year, Ryan Christoffersen? Is this the year for Gonzaga? Do they find redemption this year? Let's see. I'm going to ask you now. Who are your Final Four predictions? Who are some of your sleepers? And who do you think? You don't have to say yet, but who do you think could take the national championship? Let's get a deep dive on the season overall.
Yeah. So I was just talking about UCLA. I like them as a Final Four team. I think I'm penciling them in as a Final Four team. I really, really like them. Give me the Zags as well. I think we could maybe even have a rematch of that epic game, Gonzaga UCLA. Actually, we are going to have a rematch of that
right.
in the regular season. But I'm saying a rematch of the rematch then.
Right.
Hey,
we know what you mean. Like a rematch just as big as the original. We know what you mean.
No, but that regular season matchup is going to be one of the most highly anticipated games of the season.
Yeah.
To see those two teams go at it, and obviously they look a little different. Suggs is gone and all that, but those two teams I love. From there, it gets you start getting a whole bunch of teams in there that's
let me get you
that you kind of like.
All right, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the defending champions, the Baylor Bears? I feel like nobody's mentioned them like all off season. Like, can Baylor make another run? Baylor, I mean, they lost a lot of the key players on that roster, so I get it. But what are your thoughts on Baylor possibly?
Yeah, I like Baylor. I guess everyone kind of they like Baylor. They don't like necessarily love Baylor this year. But they're still going to be really good. I mean, obviously Scott Drew at this point has cemented himself as a top name in college basketball. Yeah. They have some returning guys, not necessarily the big names, but definitely very key pieces to their run last year. They have a really good recruiting class. Kendall Brown is one of their big recruits. He's a wing. So again, just kind of seeing how like a freshman mixes in with the returning players and who's going to kind of maybe take the star role or that for the Baylor team. So they don't have going into the season, they don't necessarily maybe have the star power to kind of hang your hat on and say that's a Final Four team right there.
Yeah.
But I could certainly see it happening. I mean, they got obviously returning talent, incoming talent, the coach.
Yeah.
The pedigree, they won the whole damn thing last year. I mean, they got everything there. You just
here's my assessment on Baylor. Assessment on Baylor, I feel like they're not getting the respect because a lot of people feel like they really won that national title because Gonzaga was spent. Gonzaga had to have one of the most epic. They went through one of the most epic games ever just to get to the national title. Emotional roller coaster. You had to win on what is, I think, the greatest NCAA tournament shot ever. Now, I think that easily passes Leighton or anything else anybody else can think of. And I just think Gonzaga was worn out going into that game. But all credit to Baylor. They did clamp Gonzaga down for 40 minutes in that game. But it's like you said, they don't have the same guy. They don't have the big names coming back. Also, some people had that bit of, maybe that national title was a fluke idea towards this Baylor team. So I think maybe for Baylor, it's going to have to come through on their play. It's going to have to be about ruling that Big 12, going up against teams like Kansas and Texas to try to get that respect back as a national champion, or more respect as a national champion.
Yeah. I think I was somebody who kind of tried to pick holes in Baylor last year, and by the end of the year, I was like, I should have respected them more as the season went on, because they got down, they defended like crazy. Those guards were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all around a really good, deep team that just really proved it all year long. Just, they're not the flashiest team. They're not getting huge headlines. And again, that's sort of the story we got going into this year. They're not the flashy team everyone's talking about. But yes.
Remember what Mark Vital said when they beat Gonzaga last year? We whooped their ass for 40 minutes. And that's the kind of team Baylor is. Just get out, gut it out, and grind it out. But I mean, exactly. Right now, if I had to be honest, I don't see them as a favorite to be in the Final Four this year. But I just wanted to get some thoughts on Baylor. I mean, the national champs have hardly been talked about. So,
oh yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting that Texas is getting more headlines because we talked about Texas where we don't really know how everything's going to come together, and this is a program that just lost in the first round last year.
Yeah, to North Texas.
And they're getting more headlines than the national champions. That does seem a little weird.
Definitely. I mean, hey, college basketball, man. What can you say, man? So Final Four, man. For me, I had Gonzaga, and I also had Texas. You said you had UCLA, and I forgot the other one. Well, not Baylor. It was
I got the Zags, and I got UCLA.
Yeah.
Then things get a little murkier for me, where I'd have to narrow it down between 6 to 8 different teams. I'm
gonna say Duke. I'll say Duke for Coach K. I think he gets there in his final season. I think he'll reach it. I think he'll be in New Orleans. I really liked what I saw out of Paolo Banchero. Also, really like Mark Williams jumping out the gym, high pick and roll, big man, blocking shots. So I really like him along with Banchero, and then also off the bench with Base Jones. So I got Duke, along with Gonzaga and Texas. Those are 3 of my 4.
Okay. Yeah. If put on the spot, I think it's between one of the 2 Big Ten teams that I really like, Purdue and Michigan. I think I'm going to go Michigan.
Okay.
In terms of that, and the 4th team, as much as I hate to say it, I think I'm with you on Duke.
Okay.
I think Banchero, however you say it. I think that's a pretty transformative player right there. And then, that's going to kind of be the storyline as we go out throughout the whole season. Can Coach K kind of close it out with a Final Four berth? And
for my last team, I was going to go with you on Michigan, but actually, I think that'll be a sleeper. I think we'll see somebody we're not even thinking about make that run. I wouldn't be surprised if you see like an Ohio State sneak into the tournament, or a Coach Cal with those portal transfers that he got to Kentucky. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a team that we're not thinking about. Or maybe somebody does what Georgia Tech did in the ACC, make a crazy conference run and get into the Final Four. But for that 4th spot, I really there's nobody else I'm clear cut ready to say yes. I think they'll be in there yet.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take the open spot because that's one of the reasons I love college basketball, man. I love mid-majors. I love the Cinderella runs. I love all that stuff, and where you really feel like so many teams have a chance.